In this video, we're going to learn how to call methods and use parameters. We'll cover pointer type parameters later on. The purpose of generic programming is to optimize development and to facilitate maintenance and portability. We've already used the simple call to a method without parameters in the onStartup database method where we called the navigation method. In the first programming lesson, we saw how to configure buttons according to the page selected in the navigation form. Now we're going to optimize the programming so as to keep only one method that is used for all the navigation buttons, all, query, order by, and so on. Let's display the Explorer. We're going to create a new method, a project method that we'll name Navigation Functions. It'll receive two parameters. The first concerns the action to perform in the form of text, search, order by, etc. The second corresponds to the page where the click occurs, 1, 2, 3, and so on. We call this method as follows. In a button, we'll call navigation functions. The text corresponding to the action that we want to perform, and here, as the second parameter, is the page concerned. Navigation functions, all, form, get current page. So we want to use the navigation functions concerning the all item and passing the number of the page to process as the second parameter. There are two ways to type the parameters of the method that's called, in other words, the navigation functions method. The first parameter will be a text, cText $1, and the second will be a long integer, cLongInt $2. You'll notice that to name parameters, we use the syntax $1, $2, etc. to retrieve each parameter. To make your method easy to read, we suggest that you create local variables with explicit names where you assign the value of the parameters received. So it's better to write cText $1, $action, since we can declare several variables in a compiler directive of the cText type for simple variables. Here's the second variable, which will be the page number. cLongInt $2 page number. And to retrieve the value of $1 in $action and the value of $2 in $page number, you can just write $action equals $1, $page number equals $2. The rest of the method is an adaptation of what we already described in previous sections, namely adjusting the action to the request and configuring it according to the page and thus the table chosen. We'll use a case of $action equals all, and here we'll retrieve the code of the all button, cut, and adapt it in the method. What about the information we need to replace? The form getCurrentPage is no longer needed since it is sent by the calling method. We'll replace it by $page number. For the moment, we don't need to change the rest. When we cover pointers, then we'll replace what we have here with a more generic method. We can do the same thing with a query button. Here, we drag the code by holding down Alt to copy it. Then we'll have an all action and a query action. We'll copy the code from the all button, paste it into the query button, replace the action here, copy the code from the query button, and go back to the method here. And, as we did before, replace form getCurrentPage by the variable that we received. We're going to put a breakpoint and check that we go to this method when form is executed. If we click on all, we see the method being executed, but what we're specifically interested in is the stacking of the methods. The last one called is at the top. The previous one is on the bottom. If we double click on this method, the code appears that leads us to this point, and we can see that navigation's functions method was called with the parameters all, form, get current page. The method was received. Here, it received the parameters of $1 equals all, $2 equals the page number. Here it is, page 1. Next, $action is all, so we're supposed to go to this part. Then, $page number is 1, so we'll use all records on the interventions table to determine the number of records concerned. We will then remove the breakpoint and execute the method. When we get to technician, if we search for those whose name contains BON, we will find Bonaparte. And if we request all, we can see that our method works correctly.